Well, interesting turn of events there in a Maha twist to the Maha political crisis. We're now learning that Eknath Shinde, the rebel leader, will be the new chief minister of Maharashtra. Even we heard Devendra Fadnavis say that he will not be part of the government on an individual basis. That's what he said a short while ago. Now all eyes on Shinde's oath-taking ceremony. As per Fadnavis, the oath will be taken at 7:30 p.m. this evening. But certainly interesting and unexpected developments unfolding in Maharashtra there, where Eknath Shinde has now, he will now take oath as the new chief minister of Maharashtra. My colleague Ketan joins me live on the broadcast now. Ketan, well, interesting developments. In the course of the last few days, there were several truce offers being made by Uddhav to Shinde. The MVA was even mulling to make him the chief minister if he returned. Did you ever expect that Shinde will actually take oath as the chief minister?
No, Charlene, this is beyond my expectations and this is beyond my limited political acumen, because it's raining cats and dogs in Mumbai. One can say it is also raining political earthquakes in Mumbai. Because a while ago, Devendra Fadnavis comes and addresses a joint press conference along with Eknath Shinde and says that the BJP for now will support the government from outside. He won't be a part of the government. However, he'll be a guide and mentor of the government. And Eknath Shinde, the leader of Shiv Sena rebel camp, will be the new chief minister of Maharashtra. He will be given the oath at 7:30 p.m. So it is actually a political earthquake of sorts, because by doing this, the BJP has literally questioned the political legitimacy of the Shiv Sena. It has never happened in India's political history, believe you me, where a rebel group the leader of a rebel group has been made a chief minister, while the status of that rebel group is still suspect, because as we broke this morning, Mirror Now, that Shiv Sena might go to court about Eknath Shinde calling himself the leader of the legislative party, and as we also broke further, that the bow and arrow symbol is registered with the Election Commission, and Shiv Sena is an authorized party with Uddhav Thackeray as its president. So how can a rebel group's leader become the chief minister? So what will be the status of the rebel group? Will it be the Shiv Sena in the legislature party? So what does the BJP want to do? Does it want two Shiv Senas? One that is the authorized party on the road, and another is the Shiv Sena legislative party. So the party on the road, headed by Uddhav Thackeray, with the support of 16 MLAs, the original Shiv Sena will have a political existence, whereas the majority legislature party will be the Shiv Sena, who's tying up with BJP. So this is unheard of. It's confusing, at the same time stunning, and clearly this will have more of political ramification, constitutional ramification and legal ramification. But for now, the news for the viewers is that Eknath Shinde, rebel of Shiv Sena MLA camps, enjoying the support of around 40 Shiv Sena MLAs and 10 independent MLAs, all slated to be the next chief minister of the politically important state of Maharashtra.
Certainly, Ketan, this is a real-life political drama, and this thriller is only getting more and more interesting. As you said, it's a very confusing situation. I was having a chat with my colleagues in the newsroom, and they also pointed out how this is a sort of a khichdi, if I could use the word here, because on the one hand, you do have Shinde camp, and now Shinde is going to be the chief minister of Maharashtra. On the other hand, you have the Uddhav camp, who still says that they are the real Shiv Sena, because, of course, they have the election symbol, the bow and the arrow. So now that the Thackeray's are on a crossroads and they're also caught on a back foot, what happens to them? What happens to the Thackeray's?
Well, so the Thackeray's are determined. The Shiv Sena party, the official party, is determined. They may enjoy the support of only 16 MLAs. However, the larger Shiv Senics and the MPs and the Shiv Sena, the original party Shiv Sena, enjoys it has governments. It has many local self-governments. It has municipal corporations which it controls in the state of Maharashtra. So now this is all-out legal battle. This is a battle. This is clearly, I wouldn't mince my words, this is an action that the BJP has initiated to challenge the legal status of Shiv Sena. This is an action which will challenge the political status of Shiv Sena. This is an action which will bring out two Shiv Senas to the fore. One, the legislative party, and another, the party on ground. So it is completely baffling as to how this crisis will unfold. And today there is going to be a small swearing in of sorts. In the end, I heard in Marathi that Devendra Fadnavis told his Karyakartas that we haven't made elaborate arrangements in the Raj Bhavan and it's raining, so please get yourself out. We are going to have a small token swearing in of sorts, and the cabinet expansions and other things will follow. But what is completely baffling is how this crisis will unfold on the streets of Maharashtra in the days to come. Because one saw that Uddhav Thackeray made an emotional speech and he resigned on a Facebook Live and then went to the Raj Bhavan and submitted his resignation. Less than 24 hours of that happening, there is another shock for all the viewers, for all the voters of Maharashtra, that they are going to get the leader of the rebel Shiv Sena camp as their next chief minister.
Right. Right, so Ketan, who succeeds in a sense, who succeeds the Shiv Sena, who represents the bow and arrow, and above everything, who will decide, okay, Ketan, just be with me. I'm joined by Mahesh Tapase of the NCP. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to Mirror now. What are your reactions to this unprecedented development that has unfolded in Maharashtra, where Shinde will now take oath as the new chief minister?
First of all, on behalf of my party, I congratulate Mr. Eknath Shinde. At the same time, I must say that BJP has played a master stroke by putting him in front and keeping the remote control in Nagpur. And that's how they are going to operate the Shinde government. Today, there is no clarity on whether Mr. Shinde belongs to the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena or he himself is the real Shiv Sena. So there is no legal clarity on that. I think keeping all these questions and equations in mind, the BJP has tried to play a Mastercard by projecting him as the next chief minister. Also, elections in Mumbai region and MMR regions are due, so that they would want Mr. Shinde to kind of go and destroy every possible opponent which is in the Uddhav Thackeray Shiv Sena right now.
Sir, you said that the BJP has played a Mastercard by projecting him as the Shiv Sena. I'd just like to get some clarity on that front. What exactly do you mean by projecting someone? Do you think that, the Shinde would perhaps... Yes, go ahead.
They have projected Mr. Eknath Shinde as the chief minister candidate. They have recommended his name. That means that the entire remote control will be held by the BJP and operated from Nagpur, the RSS headquarters.
Right. So basically you're saying that Shinde will be a puppet chief minister and remote controlled by the BJP, and that's the masterstroke that's being played by the BJP.
Also legally, in the eyes of the Election Commission, which party does Mr. Shinde represent? And when the floor test will happen, whose whip will be applicable to the Shinde group and or to the Uddhav Thackeray subgroup?
Right. All right, Mr. Tapase, thank you so much for speaking to Mirror Now and sharing your inputs. Definitely, there is a lot of grey area when it comes to the legalities in this case, because we do know both camps are still fighting for the legacy and the legitimacy here. Let me go across to Bharat Kumar Rao, senior journalist. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to Mirror Now. Well, you know, it's a very technical question that I want to ask you. As per the 10th schedule, the clause is that you need to either merge with a party or form a new party to escape the anti-defection law. Now, that's as per the 10th schedule. Here, in this case, neither of it is being done by Shinde camp. Therefore, I want to ask you, can Shinde be the Chief Minister of Maharashtra as a Sena leader?
As of now, technically, he is a Sena leader.
All right. No, but when you talk about the technicalities and the legal aspect, as per the 10th schedule, to escape the anti-defection law, you have to either merge with a particular party or form a new party. But in this case, again, neither of it is being done. He's still a Shiv Sena leader. So do you think, will the Election Commission have to step in here, or will the courts have to be stepped in here?
You're right. There is a grey area. There's a huge grey area in which this man can be trapped.
All right. So you can say, so is it safe to assume that Eknath Shinde being the new chief minister is not permanent? There could be a possibility that in the future he could face anti-defection law that could perhaps bring him down as the chief minister?
Whether it can bring him as chief minister or not, that is different thing. But definitely he will have the hanging sword of the election commission. That much sure. Unless he decides to form his own party, his own group.
Right. What do you think is the relevance of the July 11th hearing in the Supreme Court? We do know the court will make a hearing, will have a hearing in this particular case. Do you think that hearing is absolutely irrelevant, or in the current scenario, it does hold certain relevance?
It holds that relevance. This is because till this case is hanging, and unless it is settled forever, this case will always have this reference on every possible development in the state.
All right, Bharat Kumar there. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to Mirror Now and sharing your perspective on this very crucial development. Let me also go across to Abhishek, who is with me live right now on the broadcast. Abhishek, what is the latest you are picking up in terms of all whatever is happening? Of course, we are seeing this latest announcement being made by by Fadnavis that Shinde will take oath as the chief minister at 7:30 this evening. Okay, before I go to Abhishek, let me go across to Zeeshan Siddique of the Congress, who's joining me right now on the broadcast. Mr. Siddique, your first reactions to whatever has unfolded in the state?
Yeah, obviously, it's a bit shocking for the events that have followed in the last 10 days. Being a first time MA myself, every morning we come across something else. But now that we are in the opposition, we wish the new government all the very best. And Eknath Shinde the very best as the new CM, as we all heard that he's going to be swearing in as the new chief minister.
All right. What is Congress's stand in all of this, sir? If I may ask, what happens to the alliance, the neatly designed alliance that was crafted 2.5 years ago?
See, the Congress party always maintained that our 44 MLAs were intact and are intact with the Maha Vikas Aghadi. And we are still with the Maha Vikas Aghadi as we develop the Maha Vikas Aghadi for the good of the people of Maharashtra. And we will be a healthy opposition. When we had 44 MLAs, we were ready to sit in the opposition. But Maharashtra needed a stable government, and that's why we formed the government. And now that, things happened and Shiv Sena broke out, we still will remain with the Maha Vikas Aghadi. In fact, a few hours back, we met Uddhav Thackeray as well. And we are not hungry for power. We are working for people. And we will remain in the opposition and work towards the development of people.
All right. So you all will remain in the opposition and work towards the betterment of the people. Thank you so much, Mr. Zeeshan Siddique, for speaking to Mirror. Now, let me go across to my reporters who are still with me. Ketan joins me. Abhishek and Sandeep is also live with me on the broadcast. Abhishek, let me come across to you. Okay, first let me go across to Ketan. Ketan, so, we've been discussing with, spoke to Mr. Tapase of the NCP, also spoke to Siddique of the Congress. My question, all my questions are based on what happens next. Unfortunately, I can't help but be fixated on that because of this political thriller there, which is, of course, seeing newer twists and turns by the minute. What happens to this alliance that was designed 2.5 years ago, to the Congress and to the NCP particularly?
Well, Charlene, so while covering this crisis for the last almost 10 days, I remember meeting informally former Chief Minister and leader of Congress, Prithviraj Chavan, and I asked him the same question, that in case, if you won't be able to manage the vote required for the simple majority, what will you do? Will the MVA stay? So to which his reaction was, in that case, it would be Ajit Pawar who would be the leader of opposition, and then we will deliberate the future of this alliance as and when such things happen. However, now with a buoyant BJP and with a strong rebel camp's leader, made the chief minister, the MVA will have no option but to stay together and be a strong opposition on the floor of the house and make this government, this new hodgepodge government, accountable. But what I am further amazed and what will happen is what Mahesh Tapase said, that he will be run by a remote control government. This remote control will be Devendra Fadnavis and so on and so forth. I also foresee this happening, that this rebel group will be the front arsenal to take on Shiv Sena and its opposition. And the legal status of Shiv Sena is suspect. So on one, there will be multiple battlefronts, political battlefronts that will open. One will be the legal status of Shiv Sena. Second will be who heads the Shiv Sena. Third will be the fact that in the presence of two different Shiv Senas, one the majority legislature party and the other the legacy party, which party gets which sign and so on and so forth. Most importantly, the ministers whom Eknath Shinde was referring, who have come to his side, and MLAs who have come to his side, there are people like Pratap Sarnaik, there are people like Yamini Jadhav, and there are people like, so there are certain people on whom ED, there were ED raids happening, alleged ED interrogations that were happening. So they are actually, the BJP has succeeded in putting the fear of God in them, and now they have gotten them on their sides. So clearly, this rebel grouping will serve as front arsenal for the BJP to take on its opponents in the politically important state of Maharashtra. Charlene?